The Battlefield 2042 gameplay trailer released yesterday, giving us a taste of what real matches will look like, and while it was quite chaotic on the surface, there's a ton of new info and secrets hidden away in it, so I watched it frame by frame to find every tiny detail that I possibly could. And this is the 4K version of the trailer, so if your internet's good enough, then make sure that you're seeing it at the highest quality. When the transport vehicles make their way into the city, pay close attention to the built up areas of sand here. It appears that these vehicles are leaving tracks in the sand in real time. This could be our first look at the terrain deformation that DICE mentioned at the reveal event. It might also mean real-time tracks or footprints on the snow level and in muddy areas too. A few moments later we see the new physics system in action as this tank rolls over a collapsed vehicle. Notice how the drive sprocket at the back rotates and all of the road wheels and track accurately move and conform to the shape of the object beneath it. Great attention to detail there. There could be two forms of sprinting in this game. A normal sprinting speed as seen here, that's your typical run animation, notice how the gun stays down, and then a quicker burst of speed as seen here where the gun goes up into the air. Perhaps DICE have adopted a similar system to the Modern Warfare tactical sprint, allowing players to have a short dash from cover to cover. As we saw in the reveal trailer, the huge tornado that forms on the level does indeed drag objects, players and vehicles towards it. The Osprey type vehicle known in game as the Condor gets dragged towards it in dramatic fashion. Pay close attention though and you'll see a player entering it too, the absolute mad lad, confirming that there are short enter vehicle animations in the game. In another part of the trailer we see a quad bike falling from the sky, players stuck inside it with their parachutes and this unfortunate bird who flew too close to the sun. Interestingly, when we see the perspective of a player on the ground nearby the tornado, their user interface starts to glitch and one of their hands goes up in the air, insinuating that when you're too close to it, you won't be able to aim down the sights of your weapon and be relegated to hipfire only. There's a short snippet in the trailer later on where we see fighting inside of the stadium. The pistol here is a unique gadget for the specialist Maria Falk. It's a Surette pistol that allows her to revive fallen teammates from afar, and it can be loaded with 6 shots in total. Here we see a specialist walking forwards with a riot shield. That's new. Also in the same shot we see a player who's firing from behind a deployable cover. At this point it's unknown if these two things are unique specialist gadgets or options for any player to choose from. As this player enters the elevator to move to the roof of the building, they take a break to inspect their weapon and use the new plus system. This will allow you to change weapon attachments on the fly while your boot's on the ground. As you can see, the options with this loadout are a suppressor, compensator, different sights, magazines and grips. DICE explained that you can change ammo type in some of these weapons, which will affect rate of fire, bullet speed, damage and more. And while we're here, let's take a look at the heads up display as there are some changes. Capture points and ticket counts have moved from the top of the screen to above and below the minimap. You can see the health of your squad mates here too. When you enter a capture point, it will actually tell you how many friendly and enemy players are on it. I'd imagine that it's quite important considering the size of these new maps. The specialist that we're looking at here is Sundance. They've got the wingsuit as their unique passive trait. This replaces the parachute and allows them to glide around the level. Back to Sundance's HUD though. On the bottom right we can see weapons and equipment. Notice how the icon for the primary weapon changed based on how the player just configured it with the plus menu. Next to that is the secondary weapon, in this case a scoped revolver. The third slot is the unique gadget for the specialist that only they can have. We don't know what the unique gadget for Sundance is yet. The fourth slot is an open gadget slot. Players can choose any gadget that they like here, no matter what specialist they're playing as. There are no class specific gadgets anymore. In another shot from the trailer, this specialist, Delta, is carrying a rocket launcher in their open gadget slot. And the fifth slot here is for grenades, tacticals and explosives. In this case, the explosive chosen was a C4. And we see how this player has teamed up with another, planted C4 on a quad bike and explodes it into an enemy helicopter. Classic only in Battlefield moment right there. Notice when the player aims down the sight, a compass appears at the bottom of the screen. Could be useful for calling out enemy positions quickly. Although there's no video footage or information yet on if the ping a location system will return like the one that featured in Battlefield 5. On the orbital map here we get to see a couple of new vehicles. In the distance here is a white pickup truck, suggesting that there are civilian transport vehicles on the map that can be utilised. The tuk-tuk feature too of course. On the left here is the E6 Jaeger Recon, a heavily armoured combat vehicle strapped with weapons and technology. This is probably based off the real-life French EBRC Jaguar. Looking up we can see an F-35 type fighter jet hovering. That thing has 2 flight modes. Here just checking out the scenery as the rocket takes off. Pretty cool guy, doesn't afraid of anything. A lot of people thought this here was a mech firing into the sky, and I kind of get it, but if you look at the 4K version and go forwards a few frames, it's simply a character on a quad bike flying upside down in the air. It's just Battlefield things, really. Regarding other cool vehicle stuff, apart from the obvious things like the Apache and the main battle tank, the Condor has 6 seats in total, and DICE confirmed that vehicles are more proficient the more players that are inside of them. We also see what looks like a futuristic Hind D here, firing in different directions from multiple gunner seats. That thing looks like an absolute chonk. Another standout moment in the trailer was the specialist Webster McKay using their unique grappling hook gadget to reach a higher location. They swing up there and then we can see a takedown. If you're the person doing the takedown, this is a third-person animation. So with the grapple hook, you'll be able to swing a little on it, but don't expect Spider-Man type chaining, as when the player lands, a cooldown for the grappling hook is displayed in the center of the screen and on the bottom right in the heads-up display. It does look like it has infinite uses too. The real question from me though is, can I grapple hook onto a helicopter and take myself for a little ride? DICE, please. We got to see how the vehicle airdrop system works too. Players can call in vehicles to any location, and they do this by using a tablet. In this case, they called in a tank, and yes, you can crush enemies with it. And DICE told us in the press pre-brief that you can shoot and damage vehicles as they're being airdropped into the match. One omission from the trailer that I noticed was no health kits and ammo bags. Have they been completely removed from the game now? At no point in the trailer do you see a health kit, but you do see a player's health regenerate by itself. The attrition system from Battlefield 5 was disliked by many players, so it could be that ammo and health are now plentiful and you aren't so reliant on teammates or supply stations anymore. So some other little things before we wrap up. Looks like squad revives are back. This player appears to lean for a second after firing a rocket. We could be looking at real-time ray traced reflections here on the ice for the character model and hovercraft. You can see the health and names of enemies when you're close to them and aiming at them. With that said, I think that's most of the little hidden details that I recognized at least. Also, a lot of people have left comments on the video yesterday asking for my general opinion of this new trailer. Not that I can change it or anything, but for what it's worth, I thought it was fine. It's obvious to me that the objective of both the reveal trailer and gameplay trailer was to show as much action and demonstrate the scale of the game, how big the maps are, how many vehicles there are, the new weather effects, only in Battlefield moments, etc. For me personally, I think the trailer should have been longer with less cuts, kind of like how the Battlefield 4 multiplayer reveal trailer was. I would love to have seen more gunplay in there too. You don't really get much of that at all. And after all, the majority of the players in the server will be boots on the ground with a gun. Also, should have been more destruction in there. DICE have really been hyping that up, and there wasn't much of that from what I could see. Overall though, I enjoyed it, thought it was a cool trailer, and it's definitely going to appeal to old school Battlefield fans who enjoyed games like BF2 and BF3. But we've only got to wait until July 22nd when we'll see more, and they're going to show us whatever this thing DICE LA have been working on, a love letter to the franchise, so they say. And that's all for today, folks. Thank you for watching. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, this video took me ages to put together, so if you enjoyed it, do consider leaving a like below and sharing the video. I hope you have a great day. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.